The Kreth extinction fleet arrived at New Thesara like a storm cloud blotting out the stars. 800 warships arranged in perfect formation, each one larger and more powerful than anything the humans had faced before. At the center of the fleet was the World Breaker, a massive dreadnought that had destroyed dozens of planets. Admiral Kyung-ho stood on the bridge of the Teguk, watching the enemy fleet take position around the temporary Vellani capital. His 47 ships looked tiny compared to the Kreth Armada, like insects facing a giant. "Sir, the Kreth are broadcasting a surrender demand," reported Lieutenant Minho. "They're giving us 1 hour to withdraw or they'll destroy everything in the system." "Any response, Admiral?" asked Captain Hyojin. Kyung-ho was quiet for a moment, thinking about the 8 million Vellani civilians on New Thesara and the refugee ships scattered throughout the system. Behind him, the bridge crew waited for orders that would determine whether humanity's first alien war ended in victory or disaster. "Send a message to the Kreth fleet," he finally said. "Tell them this. Humans don't withdraw when innocent people need protection. If they want this system, they'll have to go through us." On the Vellani command ship, Admiral Kethmora watched the human response with a mixture of admiration and despair. "They're going to fight," he told his officers. 47 ships against 800, and they're going to fight. "Should we prepare for evacuation?" asked his tactical officer. "Where would we go? This is our last stand. If the Deathworlders fall here, the Vellani Confederation dies with them." Captain Sung Min of the Engineering Corps was working frantically in the Teguk's computer core, making final calculations for the Incheon Gambit. The plan was insane, requiring precise timing across the entire human fleet and using the system's twin pulsars as weapons. "Admiral, I need to be honest with you," Sung Min said over the communication system. "The Incheon Gambit has a 60% chance of working, but even if it succeeds, we'll lose at least half our ships, maybe more. And if we don't try it, then we lose everything in the next 2 hours." The Kreth fleet began its advance, moving in the same orderly formation they had used to conquer 17 species. Their communications were confident and mocking, translated by the human computers for everyone to hear. "Look at them," came the alien voices. 47 tiny ships against the might of the Dominion. "Do they truly believe their legends make them invincible?" "Perhaps we should capture some alive," suggested another Kreth commander. "The Emperor would enjoy seeing these famous Deathworlders in chains." Admiral Kyung-ho listened to the enemy communications and felt a cold anger building in his chest. These aliens had spent centuries destroying peaceful civilizations, and now they were talking about enslaving humans like trophies. "All ships, implement the Incheon Gambit in 60 seconds, he announced to the fleet. "Remember, the timing has to be perfect. If we're off by even a few seconds, this won't work." Lieutenant Young-ho began the countdown from his position at the tactical station. Around the system, every human ship moved into precise positions relative to the twin pulsars. The Kreth watched this movement with amusement, thinking the humans were retreating in panic. 30 seconds, Young-ho announced. The human ships appeared to be scattering in random directions, fleeing from the overwhelming Kreth force. The alien commanders congratulated themselves on finally breaking the spirit of the legendary Deathworlders. 10 seconds. Captain Boram checked her targeting systems one final time. Her assault carrier was positioned exactly where the calculations said it needed to be. Around her, 46 other ships waited for the signal that would either save the Vellani or destroy the human fleet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute. Every human ship fired simultaneously, but not at the Kreth fleet. Instead, they targeted specific points around the twin pulsars, sending massive energy pulses into the gravitational fields of the dying stars. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The Kreth continued their advance, confused by the humans' apparently random weapons fire. Then space itself began to twist. The gravitational waves from the pulsars, disrupted by the precisely timed energy bombardment, created a cascading effect that rippled through the entire system. Reality bent and warped as forces beyond imagination tore through the fabric of spacetime. The Kreth fleet, caught in perfect formation in the middle of the gravitational storm, found themselves trapped in a cosmic web of distorted space. Ships that had been moving in straight lines suddenly found themselves twisted in impossible directions. "What is happening?" came the panicked Kreth transmissions. "The stars are attacking us. How is this possible?" In the chaos that followed, The humans implemented Protocol Gangnam. Every ship began fighting independently, using the gravitational distortions to appear and disappear like ghosts. One moment a human destroyer would be visible on Kreth sensors, the next it would vanish completely, only to reappear behind an enemy vessel. The Kreth had been trained to fight in formation, relying on coordinated attacks and overwhelming firepower, but the gravitational storm made formation fighting impossible. Their ships were scattered across twisted space, unable to support each other. Captain Jinsung of the destroyer Busan found herself facing a Kreth battleship that was 3 times her size. Under normal circumstances, it would have been suicide to engage such a target. But these weren't normal circumstances. All power to forward weapons, she ordered. We're going to hit them from an angle they can't defend against. Using the gravitational distortions, the Busan approached the enemy battleship from what appeared to be directly above, but was actually twisted space that placed them beside the alien vessel's weakest shields. The destroyer's weapons tore through the Kreth armor like paper. Throughout the system, similar scenes played out as human ships used the impossible physics of the gravitational storm to strike from unexpected angles. The Kreth, unable to predict where attacks would come from, found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to exist outside the normal rules of space and time. "Sir, we're reading massive casualties in the Kreth fleet," reported Lieutenant Minho from the Taguk. "At least 400 ships destroyed or disabled in the first hour." But the battle was far from over. The surviving Kreth ships were adapting to the new conditions, and their massive world-breaker dreadnought was still operational. The giant ship's weapons were powerful enough to destroy human vessels even through the gravitational distortions. "Admiral, the world-breaker is targeting our position," warned Captain Haijin. "Its weapons are charging for a full-power shot." Kyung-ho looked at the tactical display and realized they had one chance. The world-breaker was positioned near one of the pulsars, trying to use the star's gravity to stabilize its position. "All remaining ships, concentrate fire on grid reference 77 Alpha. We're going to give that pulsar a little extra energy." 23 human ships, all that remained of the original 47, fired everything they had at a specific point near the pulsar. The massive star, already unstable from the gravitational storm, reached a critical point. The pulsar erupted in a directed beam of energy that lasted only 3 seconds. But those 3 seconds were enough to vaporize the world-breaker, and every Kreth ship within 1,000 kilometers of it. When the gravitational storm finally subsided 4 hours later, only 67 Kreth ships remained out of the original 800. They were scattered, damaged, and completely demoralized. The human fleet had been reduced to 15 operational vessels, but they had achieved the impossible. They had defeated an enemy that outnumbered them 20-1 and saved 8 million innocent lives. As the surviving Kreth ships fled toward their home territory, Admiral Kethmora sent a message to Admiral Kyung-ho that would be remembered throughout galactic history. "Admiral, today we have witnessed the birth of a legend. The galaxy will speak of this battle for 1,000 years. You have shown us that some species will never bow to tyranny, no matter the odds." Kyung-ho looked at the stars outside his bridge windows and thought about the price of victory. 32 human ships destroyed, over 6,000 crew members dead, but 8 million Vellani civilians were alive because of their sacrifice. "Lieutenant Minho, send a message to Earth. Tell them the mission is complete. The galaxy now knows that humanity stands with those who cannot stand for themselves." Admiral Kyung-ho made a decision that shocked both his own officers and the Vellani allies. He split the human fleet into 3 groups to defend separate refugee convoys. According to every military textbook ever written, dividing forces against a superior enemy was suicide. "Sir, with respect, this violates basic strategic doctrine," said Captain Boram from her assault carrier. "We should concentrate our forces for maximum impact." "Captain, basic doctrine assumes we're fighting a rational enemy," Kyung-ho replied. "But the Kreth aren't rational. They're predictable, and predictable enemies can be defeated even when they outnumber you." Commander Sujin received orders to defend the Andorian Passage with only 12 ships against a Kreth force of over 200 vessels. The passage was an asteroid field that the Vellani refugees had to cross to reach safe space. "Chief Hyunwoo, I need you to work miracles," Sujin told her chief engineer. "We're going to turn this asteroid field into the most dangerous place in the galaxy." Hyunwoo and his engineering teams worked for 18 hours straight, using mining equipment borrowed from the Vellani, to hollow out asteroids and fill them with nuclear charges. But these weren't ordinary mines. The human engineers programmed them to learn and adapt. "Commander, we've turned 47 asteroids into smart weapons," Yunwu reported. "They'll track enemy movements and detonate at the optimal moment for maximum damage. The Kreth won't know what hit them." When the Kreth fleet entered the asteroid field, they expected to sweep through quickly and destroy the refugee ships on the other side. Instead, they found themselves in a nightmare maze where the rocks themselves fought back. The first Kreth ship to enter the field triggered a cascade reaction. As it exploded, debris from the destroyed vessel hit other asteroids, which then exploded in turn. Within minutes, the Kreth formation was scattered and confused. "This is impossible," came the translated Kreth communications. "How are the asteroids attacking us? What kind of technology is this?" Commander Su-jin smiled grimly as she watched the enemy fleet struggle with the asteroid field. "Chief, they still don't understand. They think we're using advanced alien technology. They can't comprehend that we're just using basic physics and explosives." The Kreth tried to retreat from the asteroid field, but Su-jin had anticipated this. Her ships appeared from behind large asteroids, cutting off the enemy escape routes. The aliens found themselves trapped in a space that was actively trying to kill them. Meanwhile, Captain Jinnie was facing her own impossible situation at the Twin Star system. A massive Kreth dreadnought had arrived with a planet cracker weapon, preparing to destroy a Volani colony world with 8 million civilians. "Captain, that ship is 5 times our size," reported her tactical officer. "Our weapons can't penetrate its shields." Jinnie looked at the tactical display and made a calculation that would have terrified any sane person. "All power to kinetic barriers and engines. We're going to ram them." "Ma'am, that's suicide. The collision will destroy both ships. 8 million people, Lieutenant. 8 million innocent people are going to die if we don't stop that weapon." Ramming speed. The light cruiser Incheon accelerated directly toward the Kreth dreadnought. The alien crew had seconds to realize what was happening before the human ship smashed into their vessel at incredible speed. Both ships exploded in a massive fireball, but the planet cracker weapon was destroyed before it could fire. The sacrifice of the Incheon and her crew sent shockwaves through both fleets. The Volani had never seen such devotion to protecting strangers. The Kreth had never encountered a species willing to die to save others. They destroyed themselves to protect a world that isn't even their own. Came the confused Kreth transmissions. Why would any species do this? What do they gain from such an action? The Kreth commanders were starting to understand that they were fighting something completely outside their experience. Every assumption they had made about warfare was being proven wrong by these Deathworld humans. Sergeant Nam-jun was leading a different kind of mission at Omega Station, the main Kreth supply hub. His Special Forces team had been tasked with sabotaging the enemy logistics network, but the station was heavily defended and surrounded by lethal radiation. "Sir, the radiation levels around that station would kill most species in minutes," reported Corporal Teho. "Even the Kreth can't enter those areas without heavy protection." Nam-jun checked his radiation detector and grinned. "Good thing we're not most species. Earth's radiation is worse than this on a sunny day. Move out." The human Special Forces team infiltrated sections of Omega Station that the Kreth considered impossible to reach. They had grown up on a world where background radiation, toxic atmosphere, and extreme conditions were normal. What the aliens saw as a death trap, humans saw as mildly uncomfortable. Working from positions the Kreth couldn't even monitor, Nam-jun's team systematically destroyed fuel depots, ammunition stores, and communication relays. The enemy fleet suddenly found itself cut off from supplies and reinforcements. How are they surviving in those radiation zones? Came the panicked Kreth communications. "Our sensors show lethal conditions, but the humans are operating there for hours." Are they immune to radiation? The answer was simple. Humans weren't immune to radiation, but they were resistant to it. Earth's ozone layer had been damaged for centuries, exposing the population to higher radiation levels than most planets. What would quickly kill other species, humans could endure for extended periods. As the Special Forces mission continued, something even more disturbing happened from the Kreth perspective. When one of Nam-jun's soldiers was injured by enemy fire, the team didn't retreat. Instead, they fought harder. "Corporal Minsu is down," Nam-jun reported calmly. "Continue the mission. We'll carry him out when we're done." The injured soldier, despite having a broken leg and radiation poisoning, continued to provide covering fire for his teammates. To the watching Kreth, this behavior was incomprehensible. "The injured human is still fighting," came the confused alien reports. "He should be dead or at least incapacitated." "How is this possible?" Back on the Taeguk, Admiral Kyung-ho was coordinating all three battles simultaneously. The tactical display showed human forces fighting in 3 different systems, each group outnumbered by at least 10 to 1. "Sir, we're getting reports from all 3 battle groups," Lieutenant Minho reported. "The Kreth are starting to withdraw from some positions. Their communications indicate growing panic in their ranks." Captain Hee-jin was monitoring enemy transmissions when she heard something that made her smile. "Admiral, listen to this. The Kreth are calling us the impossible species now. They're starting to believe we can't be defeated." But Admiral Kethimura brought sobering news. "Admiral Kyung-ho, our long-range sensors are detecting the main Kreth extinction fleet. Over 800 ships, including their most powerful vessels. They will arrive at New Thesara in 18 hours. Kyung-ho looked at the tactical display showing his scattered forces. 47 ships against 800 was impossible odds even for Deathworlders. But impossible odds had never stopped humans before. "All groups begin Phase 3, he announced. "It's time to show the galaxy what Deathworlders do when someone threatens innocent people. Prepare for the Incheon Gambit." The name alone sent chills through the human fleet. The Incheon Gambit was a theoretical battle plan that required perfect timing and accepted massive casualties. It had never been tested in real combat because no sane military commander would ever attempt it. But sanity was a luxury humans couldn't afford when 8 million Vellani civilians were counting on them for protection. The first battle happened at the Helix Nebula mining station. Commander Junwoo was leading a patrol of 6 destroyers when they received an emergency signal from Vellani civilians trapped at the mining facility. "Sir, long-range sensors show 12 Kreth capital ships approaching the station," reported Lieutenant Young-ho from the destroyer. "Seoul, they're not responding to our warning signals." Junwoo watched the tactical display with growing anger. The Kreth ships were moving slowly toward the mining station, which was full of Vellani families who'd been trying to hide from the war. The alien warships were massive, each one 3 times larger than a human destroyer. "All ships, this is Commander Junwoo. We're going to implement the Seoul maneuver. Use the nebula's interference to mask our approach. Target their command ships first." The 6 human destroyers split up and disappeared into the colorful gas clouds of the nebula. The Kreth fleet continued toward the mining station, completely unaware that they were being hunted. Captain Hye-jin was monitoring the battle from the Taeguk when the first human attack began. The destroyers appeared out of the nebula like ghosts, striking the Kreth formation from 6 different directions at once. The Kreth had never seen anything like it. Their ships were designed to fight in straight lines, facing their enemies directly. The idea of attacking from multiple angles simultaneously was completely foreign to their military thinking. "Direct hits on 3 Kreth command vessels," reported the Seoul. "They're trying to turn to face us, but they're too slow." The human destroyers used their speed and agility to stay ahead of the Kreth weapons. Every time the enemy ships tried to target one destroyer, 2 others would attack from a different direction. Within 30 minutes, 8 of the 12 Kreth ships had been destroyed or disabled. But the real surprise came when the remaining Kreth ships tried to retreat. Captain Hye-jin had been studying the alien communications, and what she heard made her blood run cold. "Admiral Kyung-ho, you need to hear this," she said, playing the translated Kreth transmissions. "They're not retreating because they're losing. They're retreating because they don't understand how we're fighting. Listen to this." The Kreth voices sounded confused and frightened. "How are they appearing from nothing? This is not possible. How do they coordinate attacks from so many directions? What kind of species fights like this? They think we're using some kind of advanced technology," Hye-jin explained. "They can't understand that we're just using basic tactics. They've never fought anyone who used strategy instead of brute force." Admiral Kyung-ho realized this was humanity's biggest advantage. The Kreth were powerful, but they were also predictable. They had conquered other species through intimidation and overwhelming numbers, not through skill or intelligence. "Commander Junwoo, excellent work. Secure the mining station and evacuate the Vellani civilians. But I want you to capture one of the damaged Kreth ships if possible. We need to learn more about our enemy." Master Chief Dong-hyun led the Marine boarding party that secured the Kreth command vessel. What they found inside shocked even the experienced soldiers. The Kreth were large reptilian creatures with thick scales and powerful claws. But they were also slow and clumsy, wearing heavy armor that restricted their movement. The inside of their ship was built for beings who valued strength over speed. "Sir, these aliens can't fight in confined spaces," Dong-hyun reported to Admiral Kyung-ho. "Their armor is too bulky and they move too slowly. We secured the entire ship in 20 minutes because they couldn't keep up with us." But the most important discovery came from the ship's computer systems. Captain Yoonji of the intelligence vessel Gyeongbok was able to hack into the Kreth databases and download massive amounts of information about their society and military. "Admiral, this is incredible," Yoonji reported. "The Kreth Dominion has been conquering species for over 300 years, but they've never faced serious resistance. Every species they've encountered has surrendered when faced with overwhelming odds. They literally don't know how to fight a real war." The interrogation of Kreth prisoners revealed even more useful information. The aliens were genuinely confused by human fighting tactics. They could not understand why humans would split their forces or attack from multiple directions. "Why do you fight in such a disorganized manner?" one Kreth officer asked through the translator. "Why do you not face us directly in honorable combat?" Lieutenant Minho, who was conducting the interrogation, looked at the alien with genuine confusion. "Because we're trying to win, not look honorable. Why would we fight fair against an enemy that outnumbers us 20-1? The Kreth officer had no answer for that question. In his species' military culture, there were specific rules about how battles should be fought. The idea of using every possible advantage to achieve victory was alien to their thinking. Captain Yoonji used this information to begin psychological warfare operations against the main Kreth fleet. She began broadcasting recordings of human military history to the enemy ships, showing them footage of Earth's greatest battles. The aliens were horrified by what they saw: humans fighting in conditions that would kill most species, soldiers continuing to battle even when injured or outnumbered, entire armies refusing to surrender even when facing certain death. "Admiral, we're intercepting Kreth communications," Yoonji reported. "They're calling us the mad species and reality breakers. They can't understand how we keep winning battles we should lose." The psychological impact on the Kreth fleet was immediate and dramatic. Ships that had been advancing confidently toward Villani refugee convoys began to slow down and spread out. The enemy commanders were starting to second-guess their tactics, but Admiral Kyung-ho knew this was just the beginning. The main Kreth Armada was still approaching, and it was 10 times larger than the force they had just defeated. Winning one battle was good, but winning the war would require something much more difficult. "All ships prepare for Phase 2, Kyung-ho announced to the human fleet. "We've shown the Kreth that humans can fight. Now we need to show them that humans never stop fighting." The Villani Admiral Kethmora was monitoring the battle from his flagship when he witnessed something that changed his entire understanding of warfare. A single human destroyer, damaged and outnumbered, continued fighting 3 Kreth cruisers instead of retreating. Even when the ship was clearly doomed, the human crew kept firing until the very end. "They fought to the death," Kethmora said quietly to his officers. "Even when victory was impossible, they kept fighting." "What kind of species does this?" His science officer, a crystalline being named Veltar, looked at the tactical display with something approaching awe. "Admiral, I believe we are witnessing the birth of a legend. These humans are not just warriors from a death world. They are death itself, fighting for life." The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Villani space. Admiral Kyung-ho looked at the tactical display and felt his heart sink. The star system was full of refugee ships, but they were not like anything humans had ever seen. The Villani vessels were beautiful and elegant, like pieces of art floating in space. They had smooth curves and glowing sections that pulsed with soft light, but they were also clearly not built for war. These ships looked like they were designed by artists, not soldiers. "Sir, we're detecting over 200 alien vessels," reported Lieutenant Minho. "Most appear to be civilian transports. They're broadcasting distress signals on multiple frequencies." Captain Boram's voice came through the communication system from her assault carrier, Dokdo. "Admiral, my fighters are ready to launch. Should we establish a defensive perimeter?" "Not yet, Captain. We need to make contact first. We don't want to scare them." Captain Yujin of the medical frigate Sejong spoke up next. "Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures from some of those ships. It looks like they have wounded on board. Lots of wounded." Kyung-ho made his decision. "Captain Haejin, you're our language expert. I need you to establish communication with these aliens. Let them know we received their message and we're here to help." Hyejin worked quickly at her station. Using the translation program she had developed during the 6-day journey, she began broadcasting on the same frequency the distress call had used. Valani Confederation, this is the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your distress signal. We are humans from the planet Earth. We are here to help you. For several minutes there was no response. Then the communications panel lit up with incoming signals from dozens of Valani ships. The translation program worked hard to convert the alien language into words humans could understand. Deathworlders? The Deathworlders came? This cannot be real. They actually exist? The legends are true? How did they find us so quickly? Are they really here to help, or are they here to conquer us too? Hyejin filtered through the excited alien chatter until she found what seemed to be an official response. A new voice came through the speakers, calmer and more controlled than the others. Human fleet, this is Admiral Kethamora of the Valani 4th Defense Squadron. We did not believe anyone would answer our call, especially not the legendary Deathworld species. Are you truly here to help us? Admiral Kethamora, this is Admiral Kyung-ho of the Earth Defense Fleet. Yes, we are here to help. What is your current situation? There was a pause before the alien admiral responded. When he did, his voice carried both relief and desperation. Admiral Kyung-ho, we are the last survivors of our civilization. The Kreth Dominion has destroyed our homeworld and 14 colonies. We estimate they will find our remaining refugees within 60 hours. We have perhaps 3 million civilians scattered across these transports and no way to defend them. Kyung-ho looked at his tactical officer. How many enemy ships are we talking about? Admiral, our long-range sensors are detecting a massive fleet approaching this system. At least 800 vessels, all of them much larger than our ships. The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. 47 human ships against 800 alien warships was not good odds by any standard. Sir, said Commander Taemin from his stealth frigate, request permission to take my squadron forward for reconnaissance. We need to know what we're fighting. Granted, Commander, but stay hidden. We can't afford to lose ships before we understand the enemy. While Taemin's stealth ships moved ahead to scout the approaching Kreth fleet, Admiral Kethamora requested permission to come aboard the Taeguk for a face-to-face meeting. Kyung-ho agreed, curious to see what the aliens actually looked like. An hour later, Admiral Kethamora materialized in the Taeguk's transporter room. The humans present tried not to stare, but it was difficult. The Valani admiral was tall and thin, with skin that looked like living crystal. His movements were graceful and flowing, like he was dancing rather than walking. But what struck the humans most was how fragile he appeared. Kethamora looked like he could be broken by a strong wind. When he spoke, his voice had a musical quality that was beautiful but also seemed very delicate. Admiral Kyung-ho, on behalf of all surviving Valani, I thank you for coming, Kethamora said as he entered the briefing room. Though I must confess you are not what we expected. What did you expect? The legends speak of Deathworlders as massive warriors covered in armor and weapons. You look almost peaceful, Captain Hyejin smiled. Admiral Kethamora, humans can be peaceful when peace is possible. But when war is necessary, we become something different. Kethamora looked around the briefing room, taking in the displays showing human weapons and military equipment. His crystalline features showed confusion and concern. Your ships are very different from ours, he said carefully. They appear to be designed entirely for warfare. Do all human vessels look like this? These are military ships, Kyung-ho explained. But yes, even our civilian ships carry weapons. Our world taught us that being prepared for violence is the best way to avoid it. The alien admiral was quiet for a moment, processing this information. The Kreth will not expect this. They have conquered 17 species in the past century. All of them surrendered when faced with overwhelming odds. The concept of fighting against impossible numbers is foreign to most galactic civilizations. Commander Taemin's voice interrupted the meeting through the communications system. Admiral, we've completed our reconnaissance of the enemy fleet. You need to see this. The main screen activated, showing images captured by the stealth frigates. The Kreth ships were enormous and intimidating, but they moved slowly and predictably. Their formation was tight and orderly, designed to look impressive rather than fight effectively. Sir, Taemin continued, these ships are built for intimidation, not combat. They're big and powerful, but they're also slow and clumsy. I think they've never fought anyone who actually fought back. Kethamora looked at the images with growing hope. Commander, you may be correct. The Kreth expect quick surrender from their enemies. When species refuse to surrender immediately, The Kreth become confused and angry, but they always win through sheer numbers. Admiral Kyung-ho studied the enemy formation carefully. 800 ships was still 800 ships, no matter how poorly designed they were. But humans had spent centuries learning how to fight against overwhelming odds. Admiral Kethmora, we're going to need detailed information about Kreth tactics and technology, and we're going to need your people to follow our orders exactly, even if those orders seem crazy. Anything you require, Admiral. But may I ask what you plan to do with only 47 ships? Kyung-ho looked at his alien counterpart and smiled. It was not a peaceful smile. Admiral, we're going to teach the galaxy what happens when someone threatens people under human protection. The Kreth are about to learn why Earth is called a death world. Admiral Kyung-ho stood on the bridge of the battleship Taeguk, watching the stars through the main window. The Earth Defense Fleet had been patrolling the outer edges of human space for 3 months. Nothing exciting ever happened out here. Most days were boring routine checks and training exercises. Sir, we're getting something strange, said Lieutenant Minho from the communications station. His voice carried surprise and confusion. It's not from any human ship. Kyung-ho walked over to the communications panel. In his 20 years of military service, he had never heard those words before. Humans had been traveling in space for 150 years, but they had never met another intelligent species. What kind of signal? Kyung-ho asked. It's very weak, sir. Coming from about 40 light-years away. The computer says it's some kind of distress call, but the language is completely unknown. Captain Hyojin looked up from her science station. She was the best language expert in the fleet. If anyone could figure out alien communication, it would be her. Can you send it to my station? I want to run it through the translation program. The bridge became very quiet as everyone listened to the strange sounds coming from the speakers. The alien voices sounded desperate and frightened. Even without understanding the words, everyone could hear the fear. Hyojin worked for 2 hours running the signal through every translation program the ship had. The computer slowly began to understand some words. What it found made everyone on the bridge feel cold. Admiral, I think I have part of it translated, Hyojin said. Her face was pale. They're talking about extinction. Complete destruction of their species. Someone or something is killing all of them. How much can you understand? Kyung-ho asked. About 30%, sir. But that's enough to get the main message. They call themselves the Vellani Confederation. It's an alliance of 4 different species. They say something called the Kreth Dominion is destroying their worlds one by one. The alien message continued playing. Hyojin translated as much as she could understand. The Vellani had lost their main homeworld 3 days ago. Their remaining fleets were scattered across 3 star systems, trying to protect refugee ships full of civilians. They had maybe 72 hours before the enemy found and destroyed the last of their people. There's something else, sir, Hyojin said quietly. They mention Earth. They call us Death World dwellers. They've heard stories about humans but never made contact. They know we come from a planet so dangerous that it creates apex predators as the main species. Kyung-ho felt a chill run down his back. The idea that aliens knew about Earth but had been afraid to contact humans was disturbing. What kind of reputation did humanity have in the galaxy? The message continued with the alien voices becoming more desperate. Hyojin translated the final part. If the legends of the Deathworlders are true, please help us. We know humans are warriors from a world of death. We need warriors now. Please, if you can hear this, we are dying. The bridge fell completely silent. Every person there understood what they had just heard. An entire civilization was about to be wiped out, and they were asking humans for help. Sir, what do we do? Asked Lieutenant Minho. Kyung-ho knew this decision would change everything. Earth's government had always followed a policy of isolation. Most politicians believed humans should stay in their own space and avoid getting involved in alien conflicts. But this was different. This was genocide. Communications. Get me Fleet Admiral Wansik on Earth immediately, Kyung-ho ordered. It took 30 minutes to establish a secure connection with Earth. Fleet Admiral Wansik appeared on the main screen. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been expecting a routine patrol report, not news of first contact with aliens. Admiral, are you certain this message is real? Wansik asked after hearing the full report. Yes, sir. Captain Hyojin has verified the translation multiple times. The signal is coming from known space coordinates. We can reach their location in 6 days if we leave immediately. Wansik was quiet for a long moment. Everyone on the bridge could see him thinking about the political problems this would create. Earth's government would not want to get involved in an alien war. Admiral Kyung-ho, I need you to understand something, Won-sik finally said. If we help these aliens, we will be announcing to the galaxy that humanity is a military power. We will make enemies. Some people on Earth think we should stay hidden and safe. Sir, with respect, these people are about to be extinct. If we don't help them, we'll be announcing to the galaxy that humanity doesn't care about genocide. What kind of reputation is that? Won-sik nodded slowly. You're right. And if these Kreth are destroying entire species, they might come for Earth eventually. Better to fight them now with allies than later alone. The Admiral made his decision. I'm authorizing immediate deployment of Battle Group 7. Take every ship you have and go help these Villani. But remember, this is humanity's first contact with hostile aliens. Don't start a war we can't finish. Understood, sir. What about the politicians who want us to stay isolated? Let me worry about the politicians. You worry about saving lives. And Admiral, good luck. You're about to make history. The connection ended and Kyung-ho turned to his crew. 47 ships of the Earth Defense Fleet were about to jump into the unknown to help aliens they had never met fight enemies they knew nothing about. All stations, prepare for emergency deployment, Kyung-ho announced. We're going to war. As the Taeguk and the rest of the fleet prepared to jump to faster than light speed, Kyung-ho looked at the alien message one more time. The Villani thought humans were legendary warriors from a death world. He hoped they were right, because humanity was about to find out if legends could become reality. The stars outside began to stretch and blur as the human fleet jumped toward their first alien war. Behind them, Earth continued spinning peacefully, unaware that its children were about to announce to the galaxy that humanity had arrived, and they were not afraid to fight.